Welcome to ceramic bead making with Earthnocturne. This is forming by hand part 3, and here are the beads we'll be creating today in this video. We'll begin with a square bicone. In a previous video, we went over how to make a standard bicone by rolling each end from the middle. And push on the ends to keep them from becoming too narrow. If they're too narrow, your knitting needle or hole making tool may split the sides, so you'll want to keep those wide enough to take the knitting needle. And to form the corners, just use 4 fingers to push down and pinch the sides and push in on the belly to make it protrude a bit. A tassel bead looks very nice with some small string or chain through the top, perhaps with some beads attached. I'll use some WD-40 to coat the knitting needle and keep it from sticking to the clay as we roll the tube. Take just a small bit of clay, a short coil, and the knitting needle goes all the way through, but only one end will be touching the canvas. The end facing the end of the needle will be the side of the bead that has the enlarged hole. It will be much wider than the top hole, which will still fit a standard wire. And I'll use the knitting needle to roll around the walls to even them out and make them thinner. Keep them from getting too thin, as it will make the piece more fragile in the greenware stage, and also in the firing may crack if it's too thin. I'll use the knitting needle to make the hole clean and even, and a smaller needle to form a collar by rolling the bead while impressing with the needle. This gives definition to the top and bottom. If the ends get too raggedy, you can use a knife to cut those off and leave an even thicker edge, and some water and compression if you see any cracks that are forming. I'll just push in the sides here to make it a diamond shape. You can keep it as a circle or a square. And the last bead we'll be making in this video is a curved tube. We also looked how to make a regular tube bead in a previous video. We'll just roll a coil and keep it from drying out with a spray bottle. I'm going to insert the needle all the way until I feel the tip, the point of it, and then turn it around and push the needle back through. This will keep it from getting too much clay pushed in one direction. By using gentle and even pressure, we form a tube. Both ends should have an even hole size. And once again, I'm using a knitting needle to even out the walls. And it can be rolled a little bit more so that the size is even throughout the tube. Keeping the ends from getting too raggedy. And now I'm going to insert a cable to form the curve You can form a curve without a cable, but they do have a tendency to collapse upon themselves at the top. I'm holding the cable towards the bottom as I form the curve, and that gives it support. And a clip just to hold it in place for a few minutes until the clay sets up past the wet stage but before the leather hard stage. You'll want to remove that cable. And if you see any cracks, superficial cracks here that form, you can use a little water to smooth it out. Once the cable is removed, I'll cut off the ends to keep those clean and use a sponge to keep the edges from being too sharp. Just a little bit of water to not bring the grog up to the top of the clay. And that is a curved tube pendant bead. You'll need a special sort of way of wiring these, as a straight cantle wire will not be able to be placed there. This is a fire brick with some 14 gauge cantle wire inserted into it, and they'll stand upright. You can see there on the right how they're standing up. Next is forming by hand part 4, where we will make some pendants and some rolled tubes. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.